Today I want to give you a peek into organized crime, okay? Because my father, he ran a criminal gang. He ran a police gang. He stole money, he did murder for hire. A lot of people got murdered. And he ran it like an Epstein scheme. I think he was the original Epstein before Epstein was Epstein. And what he did is everybody he gave money to, he would force them to come to West Virginia and participate in the rapes and murders so that their hands would be dirty, so that there would be blood on their hands, so that they would never testify against them. So hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people received this stolen money, and all of them put their hand to the plow. They committed rape, they committed murder, they committed sodomy, torture, you name it, in West Virginia, because he did that on purpose. But today I want to give you a little peek into how organized crime actually works. So after Steinberg, after I cursed Steinberg and I cursed Grossman and I cursed the writer, and they were diagnosed with cancer. This is a couple years later. So that happened around 93. So now it's like 1996. After I lost that job, I didn't get that job. Okay, but they got cancer. They dropped the fake warrants for my arrest in California. And so, of course, they're watching me the whole time. And this is how my whole life is. What I earned is always given to another. I earned a position with the great Steinberg, okay, the top guy, the top director, producer, billionaire in Hollywood. And I was going to be third assistant director to this guy. So I was going to be a direct assistant to the director. Third assistant director, it was going to be triple my current salary. Everybody should be overjoyed for me, not my family, because for my father, it's all about controlling me. He can't let me go. It's all about controlling me. Abdul was given this opportunity. He was given a position on the movie set with the great Steinberg himself. What happened? Abdul's like Dumbo compared to me. I mean, he couldn't do it. He had this opportunity. He showed up late a couple of times. He's not so bright. I mean, compared to me, obviously, I'm the smart guy who did the whole movie. Abdul had his one shot, and Steinberg's, scratching his chin going, I guess I should have used, the other guy, Joseph Magellan, because obviously he's a whole lot smarter. Abdul invites me out to LA. It's like 1996. I went ahead and I got another job. There were no fake warrants out, so when they did the nationwide search, because all the federal jobs have a nationwide criminal search, it never popped up again because they just got rid of it. They dropped it off. And then after that, I got another job, and I ended up retiring out of that job, which was a much better job. So this is like 96. Okay, and Abdul is inviting me out to LA. And here's how organized crime works. I want you to understand this. When Abdul is talking to me, they're playing telephone the whole time. Abdul is talking to Gigi Treson. She's connected to all the cops. She is an active duty DEA agent. She calls on the resources of any police agency anywhere at any time, and she was federal. And in the job that I retired out of, I had federal authority. I worked in federal enforcement. I didn't have a badge. I was offered a badge many times. Probably they prevented me from getting a badge, because I've been offered a police badge and a federal agent's badge at least a dozen times. Okay, at least a dozen times. And when I retired, they kept demanding that I take a GS-15 federal agent's badge don't retire, take this GS-15 federal agent's badge. And I'm like, I'm really tempted, because that's a really great job. That's like a vacation, that's like a permanent vacation making, 6 figures plus. And I just walk around and act, drink coffee and stuff. And then I arrest people sometimes. So I have no issue with the police because I wanted to be a police officer. And the only way out of this terrible predicament that my father and his gang put me in was to either go in the military. Okay, and I had either the second highest ASVAB score in the country at the time when I was 17, or I had the highest ASVAB score in the country, and this is provable. And they wouldn't let me go into the military. I went to sign up for the military, and his whole gang showed up, and they raped me for 16 hours. They starved me, they beat me, they brought 2 dogs to maul me, had 20 cops there beating me, raping me. and starving me for 16 hours straight at the induction center. Okay, and I had the highest score, the highest ADVAB scores in the country. And then when I went to sign up again, they just did it again. They just attacked me all over again. The only two ways out of trap that my father put me into was, one, go into the military, which I couldn't figure out how to go into the military because they kept stopping me from doing it, or two, join the police, because that was the only job my father was going to allow me to take. And specifically, join the Montgomery County Police, and my father ran a police gang through the Montgomery County Police. He was a Montgomery County police officer, and he ran a Montgomery County police gang. And my fear there, the reason I didn't join that gang, didn't become a police officer, is because I was terrified that he would force me to commit these crimes. And that is the last thing I wanted to do, was be a murderer or a rapist. That is the last thing I wanted to do. But he was there in the Montgomery County Police. So Abdul invites me to LA, and I've never been to LA. I'm very excited to go to LA, and Abdul was my best friend, and he was selling it to me, and he was like, I'm gonna get you a job with Steinberg. I'm working on the set. I'm working on the movie set. I'm gonna take you to the movie set. I'm gonna invite you, I'm gonna introduce you to Steinberg himself. I'm gonna, sing your praises. It's the both of us. If I make it, you make it. I'm gonna help you out. He's selling it to me. What is really happening is that Abdul is playing telephone. He's talking to Gigi Treson. When he's calling me, Gigi Treson is in the room coaching him through the call. Say this, say that, say that. Gigi is connected to my father's gang. She's a principal in my father's gang. They stole all the money. They're killing all these people. Gigi is an active duty DEA agent. Gigi can call on at any time. She and any of the gang members who are cops, and all the gang members are active duty police, they can call on the resources of any police officer worldwide, and they will do whatever they ask them to do. And I don't know what they would say about me. I'm here to arrest him, and if you feel like shooting him, hey, that's fine too. And they'll do whatever they say. They don't know me. They never saw me before. They only know what Gigi is saying to them, okay? And so they'll do whatever, and they'll kill somebody, and they don't know anything about it. That's organized crime. They simply follow orders. It doesn't matter. So Abdul invited me to LA, and he's telling me this long story about how he's gonna help me out. It's all lies. This is after Steinberg, Grossman, and the writer and the lawyer all got cancer. Now, the lawyer died first. He died after like 3 years, okay? The disease came on him real fast, and he died real fast. Hopefully he regrets what he did to me. But Grossman and the writer, it took them like 9 years to die. So this is a couple years later. And of course, they're watching me there. Okay, so maybe it's good that I didn't go out to LA, but I guess I don't think I would have to do all I don't know. It's like a rock and a hard place. I'm over here, over in Maryland. I was with my father's gang out there. Steinberg is obviously a malignant narcissist and destroys everyone around him. So I don't know. I don't even know how that would have worked out with Steinberg. But certainly I would have been a millionaire within about a year or two. So Abdul invites me to LA. So I fly out to LA. They've got this whole plan. They're all coordinating. Abdul is working directly with Gigi Treson and Steinberg has a whole organization. Gigi Treson controls every cop in the world. Literally, that's not an exaggeration. Okay, and then Abdul, every time I'm talking to Abdul, it's 1,000,000 against 1. These are not Abdul's words. Abdul is not my friend. He's a conduit for what other people are saying to him. Okay, and he's just the face. Okay, and I'm figuring this out. So the first thing that he does is he takes me to Grossman. Grossman, his wife, has this cool restaurant, okay, in West Hollywood. Groovy, cool, vegetarian. It's LA, it's Hollywood. Okay, so in West Hollywood, and it's well known. It's well known that she's this great producer's wife. So he's all about this. He took me to Rodeo Drive, and he's showing me around, of course. And he didn't take me out to meet Steinberg or anything, or the movie set. He took me to all the sites, and I'm like, so are we going to, go meet Steinberg? I'd be very interested, because I can't remember any of this. because I'm constantly being gaslighted. I can't even remember. It's like I have severe PTSD. I couldn't remember a lot. He takes me to this restaurant. The whole thing is a setup. And they're at another table at this restaurant, and we're sitting outside because it's always sunny in LA. And it was like close to 70, like 70, 72, 75. It was nice weather. And we're sitting outside, and there, just a few seats away, is the great Steinberg trying to be incognito. Okay, so Shem Steinberg is sitting right there. And someone else recognized him. They're like, that's Shem Steinberg. They went up and they asked for his autograph and a selfie. I think this is really before the time of selfies. People didn't have like so many selfies. There were cameras, but unless you're carrying a camera, you're not going to get a picture, you're going to get an autograph. So it's still the time of the autographs, much more so than pictures. But in Hollywood, people would carry around cameras in case they saw somebody famous. There's not many people more famous than Shem Steinberg. Okay, he was really famous. So I noticed him because another patron saw him and said, oh my gosh, that's the famous Shem Steinberg. And he loves it. He laps it up. The next thing that happens is Abdul is like, hey, do you want to meet Steinberg? I know Steinberg. Steinberg pulls out a gun. We're at a restaurant. He pulls out a gun, and it's Grossman's wife's restaurant. He pulls out a gun and tries to shoot me. It's the same gun that his daughter always tries to shoot me with. They've tried to shoot me with that gun. His daughter, red hair and freckles, has tried to shoot me on top of a mountain in LA. I did a New Year's hike in LA after I retired. Why was I in LA? PTSD, bro. I'm PTSD boy, okay? That's what's going on with me. She's tried to shoot me with that gun multiple times in Maryland at my church, 5500 River Road, Bethesda, Maryland, at least 5-6 times. And she confessed that she was in Maryland. She was in West Virginia participating in the rape orgies, okay? And then she's tried to shoot me a couple of times in California with that gun. So he borrowed the gun from his daughter. So he tries to shoot me. And there's a camera there. I'm like, smile, you're on candid camera. So now the great Steinberg, he's going to go to jail because he just tried to shoot me on camera. So I called the police. A fake policeman, a real policeman, but a fake policeman shows up. And who's at his ear? Gigi Treson. She's controlling the police. This is how organized crime works. So there's a camera. Gigi Treson is controlling the police guy. The police guy was already there, okay? And he's gonna make sure that nothing happens. Then I'm hustled out of the restaurant because other people are starting to call the police because they saw all this. Okay, I'm hustled out of the restaurant to the corner, and Abdul is making calls, and up screams in a car, screams Grossman and the writer, and they pop open the trunk. They try to shoot me. I think it's right like on Hollywood Boulevard. It's a big boulevard, like 4 lanes. I mean, they know how to build roads in the West. So there's a lot of traffic. People saw it. They tried to shoot me. They were going to throw me in the trunk. They were going to tie me, they were going to stab me, they were going to bind me, they were going to skin me, they were going to put me in the grave, light me on fire, and toast while I burned alive in the grave, and then they were going to bury me alive. They actually explained all this. And the reason, okay, and I called the police again, and there were other witnesses, and then I was hustled away from the scene. What happened? The same dirty cop, and this is how organized crime works. The same dirty cop who just fake responded to the issue at the restaurant because we're just a few feet away. We're now out on the curb. He responded to the same thing. Gigi Treson, an active duty DEA agent, is controlling this guy. I can't get anything done. And I called the police several more times and I screamed, get this guy away from me. He's a criminal and I want a real police officer. And they actually just hung up on me. But this is how organized crime works. Gigi was controlling all the cops. She really just needed to control that one cop, and she controlled the 911 operator. And so they always control the 911 operator, and they control the uniformed policeman on the scene, and that's all they need. Okay? And then Steinberg, he's controlling he has a whole organization in LA. He has this massive organization, okay? And then my father, he's got organized crime over on the other coast, and it's like 1 million people against me. That's what happened. He invited me to LA, and they tried to murder me, and it was broad daylight, and there were witnesses, and I called it in at least 4 or 5 times, and they just controlled the responding police officer and the 911 operator, and they probably never delete those off the switch. Okay, and I could find the actual location and the date and everything else. The police, like right now, the FBI is allegedly investigating, but they only sort of fake searched one of the properties. I identified 8 properties. They did a very focused search of one property, and then they brought in a whole bunch of cop criminals to not really search the property and not find bodies. Organized crime. This is how organized crime works, and this is the problem, and that's what's been going on. So how did Grossman and Steinberg and the writer, how did they make this elaborate plan? Well, my father taught them. They confessed to me, they told me that they went out, they were flying out on the regular to DC and West Virginia and participating in the murder events. My father and my stepbrother were holding murder orgies where they would kill multiple victims, rape, murder, kill multiple victims. And this was described to me multiple times by the L brothers, by the M brothers, by my other brother, by my blood brother, and by my stepbrother. This was described to me by many different people, okay? And even confessed to by Steinberg's adopted black daughter, red hair and freckles, okay, who is now launching herself in a porn career. My father taught these people exactly what to do, exactly how to commit the murder and the rape, and they participated in these rapes and murders, and it's even on an audio tape. Red hair and freckles admitted to this on an audio tape in 2010 during the 5.5-hour grilling by Steinberg and his minions when I retired, because the narcissist cannot let you go. And so Steinberg himself flew out to DC to make sure I could not escape from my job, because he wanted to know where I was, and I was at my federal agency working, and he wanted to make sure I didn't leave. And if I did leave, I was coming to work for him, because he had to control me at all times. That's how these people are. So there's even a tape of this. There's even evidence of this. Why hasn't the FBI gotten it? Okay, and I've contacted the law enforcement people over at my other agency, and I know them personally. Why haven't they opened a case on this? Why aren't they giving me this evidence? This will blow them out of the water. Just those admissions and those witnesses right there. And there were 20 cops in the room. There's 15 federal agents in the room. There was a bunch of local cops in the room, a whole bunch of Montgomery County cops, all the police gang members, and some DC cops. And there were some gang members in the DC cops. They had gang members in the DC cops, in the Prince George's County, Maryland cops, in the Montgomery County, Maryland cops, in 2 in Virginia and 2 in West Virginia that I'm aware of. There's at least 2 cop gang members in West Virginia, and all of the gang members were active duty police in uniform. Okay, and there was a Secret Service agent. I went to church with him. He was an officer, a uniformed Secret Service officer. There's another agent, a Secret Service agent who was involved in the gang, and a whole bunch of uniformed officers. So how come the FBI hasn't gotten that tape where there's 30 witnesses, okay, and it's recorded, and there's at least 20 cops in the room, and at least 10 or 15 of them were federal agents, and that was the same event where they were insisting that I take the federal agent's badge. How come they haven't got it? I'll tell you why. Organized crime, homie. Organized crime. That's how it works.